Hey guys, it's Carrie here with Canine Camp Dog Training. I want to talk to you guys today a little bit about something that's been on my heart and my mind because recently, it's say in the last couple of years, I feel like, so I've been training dogs since 1993, so this is 2017, so quite a while. And it seems like over the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, I've seen more and more instances where either dogs that I've trained or dogs that are, have already been trained or haven't been trained, regardless of whether or not they've had some training as a young dog or not, when they hit about two, even like the 1.5 to 2 range, the owners of these dogs start to see lots of reactivity. Dogs are reactive to other dogs, they're reactive to people on walks, they're reactive to trucks going by, and you name it. And by reactive, I'm talking about barking, growling, lunging, aggressively acting out, reacting to things as opposed to just continuing a walk or hanging out in the front yard or whatever it is that they were doing. They see these things that trigger them and they react. It doesn't necessarily even have to be outside. It can be in the house, other dogs in the household that they react to, different things of that nature, kids running around. So just reacting to things as opposed to not reacting. And it's even dogs that I've had at say 6 or 7 months and I've done a full training program on, and the dog has, as it's aged, begun to react to things. So as I sit down and I talk to people about the dog's history and how they react with the dog and what the dog's lifestyle is like and how they interact with the dog, as opposed to, how they interact with the dog, not react. As I talk to people, I feel like I'm starting to see the pattern, and what the pattern is that people expect good behavior. People expect good behavior from their dogs. They don't understand why it's happening. One of the common things that I hear is, I think my dog must have been abused as a puppy. And this is mostly from people whose dogs came from rescue or didn't get right from a breeder. They automatically want to blame it on, the dog was abused. And that could very well be true. I'm not denying that. It could very well be true, but most of the time it's not true. And even if it was true, who cares? Like, who cares? We have foster kids in our home, and these foster kids come from really traumatic backgrounds and have had some of them have had some really crappy stuff done to them, but that does not give that child an excuse to go beat up on another child, to go beat up on a dog, any of those things. Like that, it's not an excuse. It doesn't matter. So it's good to know a dog or a person's or a child's background. It's good to know and to understand and to sympathize, but then we got to move on. We got to move on. So regardless, typically there's no abuse. These dogs, they're not coming from bad backgrounds. So, and even if they were, again, who cares? So as I just have been reflecting on this and thinking about this and seeking wisdom from people and trying to figure out how best to explain what's going on here, I think it comes down to just as a society as a whole, how everything has just shifted. So 20 years ago, dogs were tied up outside. Sure, there were dogs that were pets and people spoiled and things like that. But typically, when I was a kid growing up, dogs were tied up outside. They were on chains under trees, and you knew which ones you couldn't go around because they would bite you. You don't see that anymore. In this day and age, your dog's tied up outside and you're in big trouble. And I'm not saying that that's the way a dog should live. I'm not trying to say that at all. But what I'm trying to say is that nowadays, our dogs are so humanized and so de-animalized. We baby them. We put our emotions onto them. We reflect our emotions onto them, and that's not normal nature for a dog. If we treat an animal like a person, there's going to be issues. There's just going to be issues because they're not people. They're dogs. They're animals. The other problem I feel like is happening, and I think going on, I feel like, is that people are assuming that dogs are good, that they're always going to be good. And if something bad comes out of your dog, it's because something happened to it. And that's simply not true, guys. It's not true. Dogs and people alike, we all, if there was dogs, people, horses, anything, any animal, any person, any being truly is going to do bad things unless it can't do bad things. Okay? And I know you don't want to believe that about your sweet little Fluffy or your Fido or Georgie Poo, but it's true. If your dog is allowed to do bad things, it's going to do bad things. It's going to bark. It's going to lunge. It's going to bite because it can. And that's its nature. Horses, people train horses and ride horses, and these beasts are huge, and they could do all kinds of, bad things, and they do if they're not properly trained. So you can ask any horse expert, horse trainer. They'll tell you that if these horses will get away with what they can get away with, and dogs are the same way, and people are the same way, guys. I mean, you think about it. What things in your life? Think of all the things in your life you've done that you would not have done if you would have done differently if there were no consequences for it. I mean, we make decisions based on the outcome. Okay, I'm not telling you that your dog's going to rationalize things like that, but they do make decisions based on the outcome. They understand right and wrong and consequences. And if there's no consequences for bad behavior, if there's no consequences for barking, biting, lunging, then guess what? That's what your dog's going to do. And I know I'm kind of getting a little uptight and a little aggravated about this, but this is really dear to my heart because I feel like we are allowing our dogs to become anti-dogs. We're allowing them to become brats. We're allowing them to become brats. And I know I have a brat of my own, and I've had brats of my own. I still have a brat of my own. The dogs that are the brats in my house, or have been the brats in my house, are the ones that I have not stayed on top of. Not only have I not delivered appropriate consequences for bad behavior, but I've also not been a very good leader to that dog. I've not made that dog follow the same boundaries that the other dogs have been made to follow. Think about how all the little dogs are always the ones that, people say are the most aggressive, the little ones. It's because we baby them. We carry them. We pick them up. We allow them to not be dogs, and we don't instill the consequences on them as we do bigger dogs because we think, oh, they're little. And the result is a brat, a dog that bites, that barks, that lunges, all these things, guys. So I'm not saying not to love your dog. I love my dogs. Our dogs are a big part of our family, but our dogs also know that they're dogs. That when I say knock it off, they need to knock it off. That when I say go sit, they need to go sit. When the dog starts to get amped up because it sees something and it wants to maybe think about chasing it or think about barking at it, no, I nip it in the bud right away. Those are the kind of things, guys, that if we do and we do well and we stay on top of, are going to create well-rounded dogs who know that they're dogs. So I don't know. I guess, like I said, I just see more and more people, coming to me or calling me or texting me with these dogs that have all these issues you just didn't see much of, 20, 30 years ago. And I feel like it's because we're babying our dogs. And I feel like as a society, we're babying our kids. We're not holding our kids or our dogs accountable for their actions, guys. And it should be the same all the way around. It should be the same. We should expect our dogs to behave well and deliver consequences if they don't. We should teach them. We should teach them. We model good behavior. We can't model good behavior for our dogs. Obviously, we can for our kids. We should show them good behavior, show them what we expect from them, reward them for good behavior, but then deliver consequences when the behavior is not as it should be. We should not allow our dogs to be crazy, bolt out the doors, jump into the car before being asked, jump on the couch before being asked. All of these things, push our hands up for affection. All of these things are the dog taking the lead. Those little things, oh, it's not a big deal. They add up, guys, and it is a big deal, and it creates a brat. So I'm telling you, as somebody who's done this for a really long time and who's just watching all this unfold and seeing the difference between dogs now and dogs before, you could have the best training in the world, guys. I mean, like I said, dogs who I have worked with at 6, 8 months old, like this little chocolate lab here behind me. Come on, Macy. She's great. Her personality is super, but I guarantee you, if she went home and spent the next year and a half, she's about 5 months old now. If she spent the next year and a half up to now until she's 2, and they did not enforce commands and they let her get away with jumping on people and running out the door and barking when she shouldn't be barking at people at the door, and all of that stuff, guys, will start to add up, and in a year and a half, she'll be one of those that I'll get a call and they'll say, I don't know what's going on, but when I walk down the street with her, she just barks at people and tries to bite. And I get that some dogs are more prone to that than others. People will say, oh, my dog would never do that. And I get that some dogs are more prone to that than others, but they'll do it. And it's because they forget that they're dogs, guys. So I posted a video the other day about what your dog worries about. That's another really great one, about teaching your dog to just worry about you and focus on you. It's very helpful for some of this stuff. But I really felt like I needed to get on here and talk about this because it's really dear to my heart, and I just want people to understand that what we're doing, what you're doing with your dog matters. Every little thing matters, and we need to start expecting good behavior. We need to start making consequences for ill behavior, bad behavior, and we need to start one-upping our leadership. We need to get better. We need to get better with our dogs, guys. Anyway, I hope I don't offend anybody. I'm not trying to do that by any means, but I really feel like this is something that needs to be said. And if you have any questions, you guys all know where to reach me. All right, have a great day.